Alright guys, welcome to the round 6 review for fantasy this week. We scored 2074, which is a pretty average score, nothing too special, and puts us in an overall rank of around 2.5k, so that's alright. We slid about 400 spots, but we take the score and we look to improve this week. As far as our trades went, it was a bit unfortunate. English being out meant we couldn't really go through what we originally had planned, but we ended up trading Mead and English for McComb and Smith. I liked Robbie McComb because he had good numbers in the VFL, so we picked him up. And he's probably one we're going to be fielding in the next couple of weeks when we offload all these sort of fat and cash cows. And Mead wasn't named, so we had to trade him. English, hamstring, out for a couple of weeks. And we could have really brought in any premium midfielder, like literally anyone. And we went Bailey Smith, so I was considering Bailey Smith, Tuke Miller, Paddy Cripps, and Clayton Oliver, I think. Those were the ones that I was considering. But Bailey Smith was the one that appealed to me the most, only due to his really good form. Didn't really plan out too well, but I think he'll be alright in future rounds. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like I said, pretty average week. Defense was pretty solid. Short, bit of a roller coaster, but he managed to get to 127, and he continues his good form this season. So easily top 3 defender, I think. Just keep in mind that, he is capable of scoring 70. He is capable of scoring 130. So it is a roller coaster that you have to ride. Jack Crisp, 99, looked really good. Played in midfield for most of the day. I think it was the whole day, to be honest. And yeah, a lot of clearances, a lot of tackles, a lot of marks. Just looked a really good 360 performance from Jack Crisp, and I like his role in the midfield. He's scoring pretty well at the moment, so we take that. Dawson playing at halfback isn't where I want him to be playing. We picked him up because he was playing on the wing, and we know that he has a good ceiling when he plays on the wing, but hopefully Hinge comes back this week so that Dawson can play more on the wing where he scores better, I think, and where he has that higher ceiling. But yeah, at the moment, Dawson's been knocking 80s and 90s, which is respectable, but we want to see that ceiling that we saw towards the end of last year. Midfield, 96, really good. Massive last quarter to get to that score. So he's been pretty good for us in the last couple of weeks, which is a good indication. Similar to Dawson, hopefully he can show a bit of his ceiling in the next couple of weeks. And Hewitt, playing throughout the midfield, been one of the best mid-prices that we picked up this year. Lots of clearances once again for him. Tackles, marks, you name it. He's a really good 360 player, I think, and definitely a keeper at this stage. Then Sicily, 100, managed just to scrape to the ton. Hawthorn got blown out in that last quarter, so wasn't a great game for the Hawks in the end, but Sicily always manages to play well, especially when the Hawks aren't doing well. So really good score, and I think Sicily's a top 8 defender. Should be top 6 the way he's going, so back-to-back 100s now suggests that he's top 6. Although we'll have to wait and see a couple more weeks. And then O'Driscoll, 56, was solid. DeConning, good to see him score buff 30. As far as our midfielders go, Jack Steele was once again really reliable with the 110. We chucked the VC on him. I wanted a bit more. I think I was hoping for a 125 so that we could take it. But yeah, we'll take a 110. Hasn't dropped under 100 this whole season. And then Bailey Smith, he scored 92 and we captained him, which sort of hurt our ranking, although a lot of coaches did captain Smith, McRae, Neil, Tuke Miller, all who didn't really score too great. So Bailey Smith, yeah, he looked a bit off. He still managed to get to, I think, like 29 disposals, close to 30. So he still got a fair chunk of the ball, although I think what affected his score was he didn't tackle and he didn't mark. So he laid he laid 3 tackles, sorry. Took 1 mark, and we've seen in previous weeks he's worked really hard for uncontested possessions, and that wasn't the case this week. So hopefully he bounces back, and I think he does. Jack McRae, 88, had a rough last quarter. He was looking pretty good until that final quarter. So yeah, I'm not too sure with Jack McRae. He's still a top 8 mid easily, I think. Although saying that, an 88. Bit of inconsistency here and there isn't too great. Matt Crouch, his time on ground increased slightly with Sloan out of the side. He actually started on the field, which is a good sign. And he has got that midfield role, so I think we hold him for a couple of weeks. mainly due to the fact that he's got that midfield role. And yeah, Dacos 77. That's good enough. We could probably hold him to the buys and probably flick him when we have the luxury with Dawson, and then trade out Jordan Dawson. But yeah, he's a rookie that I feel that you can just hold until the buys. Just due to the fact that he's going to score you a 70 each week, and he's not going to go and dash at a 30 or a 40. He's just really consistent in what he does, and yeah, he's definitely one to consider in the future, especially next year and the year after. I think he's probably likely to be a fantasy pick, especially when he goes in that midfield. He looks really good. So, interesting to see Dacos. He started off the ground, but at the end of the game, he still had a really solid performance. Matt Rao, 79, was great until that second half. I don't know what happened. Just slowed down significantly. And he's a bit of an interesting player because he's a great clearance player. He attends a lot of stoppages, a lot of centre bounces, which suggests you think he scores well. He's good at tackling, but he lacks an outside game. So it's one of the things that really lets his scoring down. He has no outside game whatsoever. And it's something that I feel like he needs to develop if he wants to be a better player in the future. You look with Tuke Miller and players like Noah Anderson, they always look for uncontested possessions or try to make an option at least to a defender. Matty Rowell just runs to the middle of the ground, never, running back to make an option. He's just mainly there to get clearances and nothing else. So hopefully Matt Rowell can, develop a bit of an outside game. But I think we hold him and Crouch for the next couple of weeks due to the fact that they're playing inside mid and they should score well regardless. Naish, 76, really solid stuff. The Eagles boys don't really score many large fantasy scores, so Naish's 76 was pretty solid, and we definitely take that. Horn Francis was also pretty good with the 67, so I'm happy with that. He plays throughout the midfield, and yeah, like I said, Horn Francis should score well, but playing for a team like North Melbourne, not many high fantasy scores, so you can't expect too much. And then McCom and Ward pretty solid. I think we probably look to field McCom in the next couple of weeks when we move out players like Horn Francis and Naish and stuff like that, because we do need to field some rookies. I think that McCom is a rookie that, should be pretty safe to field. Although he has played one game, we can't really take too much from that one game. But I think that he's a rookie that should be safe to field. And then our rucks, Gunny, Bruce, 105 from Gunny, that's solid, bounced back well. Bruce, thought that Flynn might affect him, although he played majority ruck. I think he played around 70% ruck. Flynn played about 30, so still played most of the ruck, still scored pretty well. And yeah, I'm glad we traded Gorn to him. Would have been nice if it was Grundy to him, but nevertheless, he's made a lot of cash and he's scoring 100 for us, which is more than I can ask. So that's great. Jack Williams, we didn't really need to use his loop this week. And then our forwards, Dunkley, 138 was huge. I considered VCing him, although at the end of the day, it was Bailey Smith as our captain. So, it was by a long stretch, I think. We were going to captain either Dunkley or Smith, but at the end it was Bailey Smith. It crossed my mind that Dunkley might score well, but I thought that Bailey Smith had the highest ceiling, so we chucked it on Bailey Smith. That didn't really pan out too well, but that's fine. Canelio, 79. Wasn't great, but he's playing up forward, so you can't really ask much for him when he's playing mostly up forward. So hopefully he plays a bit more midfield, because he scores really well when he does play on the midfield, and he's a great clearance player. He's got a lot of talent, so I don't know why the Giant boys are playing him up forward. Would be nice to actually see him attend more centre bounces. But yeah, and then Zach Butters, I think he kind of just switched roles with Connor Rosie. So he was playing forward for most of the day, didn't attend many centre bounces, I don't think. And yeah, looked lethargic, looked slow, didn't look to get involved in any contests, looked to just jog around the ground, didn't look good at all. So huge concern with Zach Butters. I really want to trade him. I really, really, really want to trade Zach Butters. I don't like him as a pick, never did. And the reason I didn't like Zach Butters as a pick was due to the fact that he's not going to score well when he plays forward. He's a great player when he plays in the midfield, but I had a feeling that with Ollie Wines coming back in the side, it'd push him up a bit more forward, but I didn't think it would affect him this much. I know that Port have a lot of good midfielders like Boak, Drew, and Ollie Wines, and then there's also Rosie coming to the midfield and Power Pepper. So there's a lot of midfield talent there, but I think you need Zach Butters in the midfield because up forward he had literally zero impact on that game, and Rosie played throughout the midfield, and we saw what he just did. He was dominating heaps of clearances. I think he got like a 110 in the end. So yeah, Zach Butters, I'm not too sure. I want to trade him. Um, although with Port they are a bit unpredictable. Maybe Ken chucks him back in the midfield this week, so we hold our premiums. It's probably the right thing to do. And then Brody 83 solid, nothing too special. Sherry with a 61 was also average. And Nick Martin on that final game was really good, 86. Looked really solid and yeah, took a lot of marks which helped us score. Rochelle 40, not great. We have to trade him this week. He's dropping in cash now. And Windhager scored a 61. So yeah, I didn't realise he scored a 61, but it's a really good score. So yeah, I didn't realise that, but that's good for his cash generation. And McInnes, 2 disposals, 2 kicks he had. One was a behind, one was a goal. So he's getting dropped this week. If Collingwood don't drop him, I'll be really surprised. That's that. Yeah, and then going into round 7, our trades for this week, pretty standard. I don't think we'll be changing this as much. I did like Tuke Miller, but if we get Tuke Miller, we can't really afford Hayes. So we go Rochelle, Jerry out, and we bring Cripps, who plays North, so should be huge this week. And Sam Hayes, who we should have probably got last week instead of Macomb, because he did go up 40k, but that's fine. We bring in Hayes this week. Number 1 ruck for Port Adelaide at the moment with Lysett out, so should be scoring, you think about 60 plus every game. And yeah, I think he's one that we just bench, and he makes us a bit of money. He gets the 400, 500k, and we can offload him. And then Cripps, good to finally get in Paddy Cripps. It's been harsh watching him dominate this season without owning him. The only concern with him is he might get injured, but I think he's still a great pick. So those are our trades this week. And yeah, I don't think we can really loop anyone, so we're probably just going to captain someone this week. I'm not sure who it is at the moment because it is still pretty early. Because Jack Williams plays that first game, so we don't have the loop option. If McInnes is dropped, I guess we could use a loop, but we'll have to wait and see. I do like Bailey Smith, Jack Steele, McRae Dunkley, maybe even Cripps against North. I'm not too sure about that at the moment. Those are just a couple captain options that I'm considering, but haven't really thought about it in detail at the moment. But if you guys have any questions, comment them down below. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.